Ivan Sawyer, I'm going to start again here. Ivan Sawyer is, as I was sharing, he was born in Tepoztlán, a city outside of Mexico, a small town outside of Mexico City that's well known for its resistance movements and the success in spite of its proximity to Mexico City, it's been able to resist a lot of the efforts to build bigger highways and everything. His father is an owner of an ecological company that has an ecological purpose, and he's an organizer and producer of many events, such as the Consejo de Visiones, which is the Vision Council, which you may have heard that I was in November, and of educational travel, an environmentalist, and now the founder of Voices of Americua. And he is going to be here with us in just a moment as he's getting onto our the Zoom link here. I'm going to give him a moment as he's following that. But get ready with your, oh yeah, so I was going to say how I know him. Get ready with your questions for him. So Ivan and I met, oh, there he is. Okay, he's coming on. He's coming on here. Yeah, cool. Yay. Let me switch the camera over this way. Ivan? ¿Me oyes? Do you hear me? Okay, I won't switch camera yet. We don't hear you, Ivan. Do you hear me? Okay, I'll give him a minute to like look into that. But oh, there he is. Okay, now it came on. Oh, yes, it worked. Woohoo! So welcoming Ivan onto the interview here. We did it. This way. Thank you for your understanding and going with the flow, Ivan. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're
oh, there he is. Okay, now
I would turn off your Facebook. Because it's behind.
So welcome onto the
listening to my Facebook live version. Okay, let's see. Can you turn off the Facebook?
I turned it off.
Okay, perfect, good, because it's like we could hear the two versions. So thank you for going with the flow here. We did it. Here we are. Okay, so I was introducing you, and I was getting to the part of like I met you right around 2004 when the Venus transit took place, maybe a little bit before, and I got to spend the Venus transit in Palenque with a huge circle of amazing people that were there, with the rainbow gathering that was there. And I just learned so much from you. We organized workshops on the Mayan calendar then, and it was just like the blast off and beginning of a whole journey. And then we were in a play about the Mayan prophecies together. So it's been a long and winding journey. And I'm so happy that you're here, Ivan. Yay. Thank you. And you're in Tepoztlán right now.
Yeah, that's right. I'm in Tepoztlán. Really, thanks for the invitation, Tanya. So good.
Sure. I know it's a little funny. We're doing it in all English, but like I usually go back and forth with Ivan Spanish and English. But yeah, so you spend a lot of time traveling, and I will ask you a little bit about that and what you're up to nowadays. But basically, to just kind of get started with the interview, how was it that you were introduced to the calendar, Ivan?
Well, I was always interested in the Mayan and Aztec and ancient cultures of Mexico, my home country. So when I was growing up, I was always interested in learning about like the pyramids and the codexes and all the different. So I had lots of books even growing up as a teenager, books about coloring books about the Mayan calendar and the sunstone, which is a huge sun calendar that is in the Museo del Templo Mayor in Mexico City. It's one of the most amazing museums in the world, I would say, you know, in Mexico City. So I was always fascinated by everything that had to do with all these ancient cultures. And I think it was around the time of, when I was in high school, like when I was 18 years old, that I first heard about the Mayan calendar. And I saw some booklets that were showing our normal calendar with then the day signs in the Mayan calendar. And I was, wow, I want to learn more about that. And the Mayas were always famous for being mathematicians and being astrologers and being experts in understanding the movements of the cycles of time and the movements of the stars. So I was like, I would really like to learn more about this. And it was around when I was 19 that I first started traveling, like more like hitchhiking through my and just buzzing around the country. And I ended up in Palenque in Chiapas. Palenque is a beautiful ancient Mayan site that is covered underneath the jungle. And it was totally life transforming to, oh, actually I had been to Palenque as a kid with my family. And I had been in the Maya land many times as a kid. My family was very much into like traveling and going into the jungle kind of thing. So I've been there before, and that's kind of where my first interest began as a child. But anyway, so I'm back in Palenque. I'm like 19, and I end up staying at this lodge in the jungle, which was called Rakshitas, and it was a really beautiful vegetarian restaurant in the middle of the jungle with yoga and meditation. And then there are these like South American hippies, Pati Perro, and she comes and she tells me, "Do you know what your Mayan calendar sign is?" And I'm like, "No, I have no idea. I've heard about it." And then she reads my Mayan oracle and my wave spell and starts telling me all these names: wave spell, oracle, dream spell. What's all of that? And I'm like, what is this? All these foreign people talking about the Mayan calendar in Palenque? I don't get it. And she's like, yeah, you are a red cosmic dragon, and that's a very big synchronicity. And actually, there's going to be a seminar on the Mayan calendar in your town of Tepoztlán with Jose Argüelles, which is one of the like main spokespeople about the Mayan calendar. So anyway, I'm like, wow, I must go. I must go. And I contacted the organizers and I said, I don't have any money, but I want to go. I'm very interested and I can help you out with whatever you need. And that's how I met Ish and Demian for the first time.
Wow.
We became really good friends until today. And they were the organizers of the seminar, the Earth Wizard Seminar, 7-day Earth Wizard Seminar in my hometown. I could actually walk there. And and that's how I first heard of the calendar and how I met Jose Argüelles, who I later will talk about maybe. And yeah.
Wow, talk about synchronicity right there, huh?
Right there, yeah.
It was like part of the transmission was that like synchronic wave right there. Awesome. I didn't even know some of those things. So I'm really fascinated to hear some of the things and like the sequence of things, how they occurred. And so can you tell us a little bit more about, well, I don't know, Argüelles not yet. Maybe, I mean, you'd grown up in Tepoztlán. I already told them a little bit, like hippie town, you know, like you were surrounded by conscious people. Like you'd grown up, like you were sharing like with coloring books on the Mayans and Aztecs and going to the jungle and the museums. And your father has this like ecological centered business. Like you'd grown up in this. And then all of a sudden the Mayan, it was beyond like the coloring book. It was like, how would you describe that? What struck you about it or fascinated you about it?
Well, I mean, it was very clear that the Maya way of understanding the universe is way more advanced and way beyond what our normal culture teaches us about the universe and what we get taught in school. And I think I was not satisfied with what I was being taught in school in terms of math and astronomy and astrology. And I really was interested in looking outside.
Okay, there's a little delay in the, okay, that's one of the things about living in Tepoztlán. The internet can go off for a second, but I'm sure Ivan will join us in just a second. If you're just as intrigued as I am, I certainly am. I will be likely posting simply the Zoom recording so that it's shorter. Actually, let me pause it right there.
Died on my computer.
Oh, it's okay. It's cool. I thought it was like Tepos, like you'd been internet like down or something.
Is it better that I keep it horizontal or vertical? Because now I'm on my phone.
If that's okay with you, that's fine. We can see you perfectly. Actually, we can see you even a little better than on your computer before.
I think it's a little better, actually. Okay, so where were we? I'm so sorry.
So Mayans are so advanced, and you felt satisfied, like, to be in touch with their math and everything, because school wasn't very satisfying, like the math and astronomy. That's where we.
Yeah, well, I actually was never really interested in math. Math was really boring. It was the most boring of all classes, at least for me. And I always actually almost failed math. And I was very interested in history and in art. And I think, like, when you get into art history, it gets really fascinating when you get into the Mayas. Actually, Jose Argüelles was a teacher in art history. And my mother was an art teacher. And so the crossing of these understandings through the history, through the art, and through the math, and then I started seeing that actually math had much more to just boring numbers, and how math served the purpose of understanding the cycles of nature and the systems of nature, even our bodies, and how all that made sense in a much bigger way, how that had you could understand much more the patterns that are in nature through the Mayan mathematics. And then I just started learning more and more about it, and the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn, and that's how I got it, more or less. Yeah.
Wow, and that's like kind of, yeah, it just sounds like it was just the right fit for you. Like there was just something about it that it was your path to go down. And so then you did go down that path. Like you did that one training, the 7-day Earth Wizard, and then you got into it and you were doing it. You did more? Because I mean, when I met you, you were basically like one of the teachers too. Like when you taught me like everything I knew about it. So yeah, what else happened?
Yeah, well, at that time it kind of became into this movement, because Jose, who wrote the Mayan Factor, a really amazing book, which talks about how the Mayan factor of history and how that Mayan factor actually changes the way we understand history and we understand humanity. So the book is called The Mayan Factor because it's the factor that we need to take into account to understand who we are and like where we are in the evolution of nature and evolution of consciousness and the evolution of humanity, and then how we're gonna move forward. And then that's the year 2012 started coming up a lot, and it had to do with some major cycles of history, and there was this whole movement around the world that Jose kind of like inspired around the Mayan calendar, which also had to do with the 13 moon calendar, which is the lunar calendar the Mayas also used. and it became a big movement, and suddenly there were young people all over the world that were younger and older and all kinds of people just learning about and decoding people's signature, galactic signature, and oracle and wave spell, and it became this contagious kind of um, uh, thing where there was a lot of interest, and so I started teaching workshops. Yeah, and that's when more or less when we met.
Yeah. Wow. So something I'm hearing underneath what you're sharing is that even when you were little, the fact that your parents were presenting, taking you to these museums, is that you have, I mean, I know a little bit about you. I know your dad is originally from the US and stuff and kind of had that Western background, but you were since very young exposed to not just Western thinking. Like there is this importance of bringing in like the Mayan factor, like all the other factors that are important for our understanding of our greater self. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely one of the things that I find is so refreshing and important about talking about the Mayan culture. We touched on it yesterday in one of the modules, about most people don't know, you talked about Palenque, and like they don't even know it has the biggest monumental sarcophagus in the entire American continent. Like it's kind of like an important issue. So I think this is a really relevant point in today's climate where, it's still really important to bring this stuff up. Like it's important to consider, obviously, like way beyond just Western thought. And I just want to like highlight that piece for a moment. And then I also know that in your path there, you got to know Arguelles a little bit more. I know there's some like fun little stories there. I think you picked him up at the airport once, or like he would stay with. Yeah, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it's not exactly the stories. I mean, after the conference and being at the seminar, I got really involved with the movement and started teaching workshops, and that led to a whole bunch of different things. I met him many times. We traveled together in several occasions. We organized when he came to Mexico. There were many meetings that had to do with opening the different ceremonial centers, and with the studies that he was doing into different areas of the Mayan calendar and conferences and so on. Yeah, there were many stories. There isn't one specific that I can think of.
Okay, cool. So I know that you're not at a point in your life anymore where you're like, it's the main focus for you. Like time has passed, and you have other projects, which we'll get into a little bit in a moment. But I just wonder a little bit now in this moment of reflecting, if you still see, or how do you see the Mayan calendar and like the Dreamspell as a tool for transformation for the greater like society and stuff still?
Yeah, well, definitely, understanding the cyclical nature of time, understanding how we are part of a bigger plan, um, a bigger design, and it's a universe that is very well designed, and there are many systems to understand and to work with that design. The Mayan calendar isn't the only one. There's also astrology and the different forms of astrology, and there's actually different types of Mayan calendar, many systems within the Mayan calendar. The Mayans had over 17 different calendars. So we're not talking about the Mayan calendar. We're talking about the cyclical understanding of time, and that can be done through the Mayan calendar, there's the Aztec calendar, there's the Olmec calendar, the traditional Quiche count, there's the 13 moon calendar. I mean, there are many different systems, and it's not to get overwhelmed at all. It's just to start with the ones that resonates with you, which makes sense. Follow that one, then learn another one. They are all compatible. All of these systems are compatible. There is no contradiction between any one. It's just it helps you to better understand the complexity and the synchronicity in the universe. And the I Ching is actually very well connected to the Mayan calendar as well. The I Ching is the oldest oracle system in the world. I think it has more than 10,000 years in existence. It comes from China, one of the oldest civilizations. The Mayas are not the oldest civilizations. The Mayas were the Mayas were one of the most advanced civilization in their time, but they are not at all the oldest civilization. When we talk, they're famous for having one of the most developed mathematical systems, for having invented the zero. But when we talk about ancient civilizations, we must talk about the Hindu, the Chinese, there's some South American civilizations like Tiahuanaco that were much, much older. So I think sometimes people get very confused as like, what is the relevance of the Mayas? And the Mayas, the relevance is not that it was the most ancient. And then there's a lot of confusion also between the Aztecs and the Mayas, like what the difference are. And they're very different. They were not even living at the same time. They were separated by thousands of years. So it's very interesting to learn the layers, and one layer many times includes the layer beneath it, and includes the layer beneath it, and includes beneath it. Like, we are where we are because we are standing on the work of so many people before us, and so many civilizations before us. And no matter where we came from or where our ancestors come from, we are in the land that was where some other people walked before, and before those people there were other people, and before those people there were other people. And it's not just black and white, and it's not just this or that. It's very complex, and I think that the Mayan calendar has helped me to understand and navigate through that precisely.
Beautiful. I would clap, but I have I have the phone in my other hand. So well put. I have so many gems in there. And it's confirming so many of the things that we've been talking about in here. We talked about the Quiche, and the Dreamspell yesterday, I think. And yes, there's no contradiction. Like, all you learn about the Dreamspell will only help you learn about the Quiche if you decide to learn about the Quiche or the Aztec or whatever calendar. It only helps. It's not like, I told them it's kind of like religion. Like, if you get into this is right and this is wrong, it's kind of like religion. Like, there is no right or wrong. They're all like, it's whatever you're feeling too, like connected to. That's what maybe is inviting you to study it. But so amazing. So you've been in this for like over 15 years, and obviously it's still like a very powerful, it's a meaningful, I don't even know, it adds so much to your life, and it's still so meaningful for you. I'd love to hear what you're up to now. Like, what's going on in your life?
I am working as a consultant for organizations that have to development like emerging solutions through environmental, social. I work with media a lot. So I lead collaborative design work based on a system called Dragon Dreaming. It's completely unrelated to the Mayan calendar. It's a collaborative project design, and much like yourself, I guess, I support people and organizations to develop themselves and make their dreams come true. And although it doesn't use the Mayan calendar, it very much understands the holistic systems in nature and the holistic systems in society, and in ourselves. And we say that dragon dreaming is a way for self-development, helping the planet. Self-development, creating community, and helping the planet at the same time. Or helping the planet, creating community, and helping develop your own self. And so I'm doing that kind of work continuously. I work with a lot of emerging eco villages, activism, art projects, and I also am a documentary filmmaker, and I have a media project that is focused mostly on indigenous struggles and indigenous issues, which has always been my passion in Latin America and also North and South America, because my idea is to help link and visibilize projects from North America to South America to North America, and also the world, right? But to really showcase the stories of indigenous people who are in the front lines of protecting rainforests, ecosystems, water, rivers, waterways of different sorts, all over the continent that are constantly being threatened by big corporations and big mega projects that are extracting resources from the land without respecting the rights of the indigenous people that have lived there for thousands and thousands of years. So yeah, that's my passion, and that's what I love doing.
Yeah, beautiful. And I mean, it's you're saying that the dragon dreaming is not related to the calendar, but I love the synchronicity there. You started off your journey finding out you were a cosmic dragon, and now you're dragon dreaming. Cool. So
Yeah.
okay, so and where can people find you and follow you and support some of your wonderful work now?
Yeah, I have my Voices of Americua. It's spelled Voices of AMERICUA.net, and also Voices of Americua on Facebook. And then I also have another, which is a personal blog, which is called Ancient Futures. It's on Facebook as well. The webpage is in Spanish, futuro/ancestral with a CS .com.
Okay, yeah, I'm putting the links on the live, and so you can find Ivan on voicesofamericua.net, is it? Yeah, it's .net, right?
Yes.
Yeah, .net and futuroancestral.com. Oh, I put voicesofamericua.org. Okay, I'll fix it in a second. But that's where thank you so much, Ivan, for just all of the energy and the wisdom and embodied just experience with the calendar and so much more that you've brought to our table here at the Mayan pop-up group. And yeah, we wish you and your project so much well, and all of you who want to support his amazing work with the indigenous and the indigenous struggles and bringing so much of environmental issues and indigenous issues to the forefront. Support him in the pages I'll link below. Thank you, Ivan. Gracias.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya, for the invitation, and I hope this was entertaining at the least for all of you out there.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm sure there'll be, I wanted to open up a Q&A, but I know there was some technical issues. I'm sure Ivan is very generous, and if you guys have questions that you put below, I'll be sure to get in touch with him, and he can let you know. He can answer on the call.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I'm available for any questions. I can send some information.
Awesome. Thank you, Ivan. Ciao.
Bye.
Hasta luego.